In the Atlantic forest along the southeastern coast of Brazil, there is something hiding in the treetops. Here lives one of the most behaviorally complex arachnids, nocturnal creatures which are heavily armed, form families, and live in small societies, and they are very, very large. Here, I'd like to say that I'm talking about a species with relatively few photos and images available because of where and how they live. Because of this, I will also be using photos of closely related species so that you can get a better idea of how this group of animals looks in general. I would also like to direct attention to some of the people who have made this research possible. The Sex Lab, through the University of Sao Paulo, Brazil, Department of Ecology, has contributed huge amounts of information to this topic over the last several decades. I will link to their website in the comments if you want to check out what else they're up to. If you know about other labs which are doing cool research, let me know about them in the comments. Remember to like and subscribe. Back to our arthropod. Serracutisoma proxima is a harvestman, an arachnid that looks superficially like a spider, but belongs to its own order, the opiliones. Unlike spiders, harvestmen produce no silk, have no venom or fangs, and carry only a small pair of eyes on a raised bump near the center of their body. Serracutisoma proxima is a medium-sized member of the family Gonyleptidae, the large harvestmen of Central and South America. To understand Serracutisoma, we first need to talk about their broader family. Gonyleptidae is the largest family of opiliones, with over 800 described species. The family's internal classification has been historically unstable. The diversity of the body structure and the difficulty of identifying reliable characteristics across the group have made family level and subfamily level taxonomy difficult and subject to change. Gonyleptids are overwhelmingly a South American family. Its center of diversity lies in Brazil, where they have reached their greatest species richness. From the Atlantic forest, the family radiates outwards through the Amazon, across the Andes, southward to Patagonia, and there are a handful that extend northward into Central America and the Caribbean, although this group represents either an ancient dispersal or the relics of an extinct population. No other harvestmen have such a large range of body forms. Some are heavily armored with broad, shield-like plates bearing rows of spines, tubercles, and horns, and have thick legs. At the other end are small cryptic species with nearly smooth bodies, flattened profiles, and dull colors which make them effectively invisible in their native habitat. Gonyleptids contain the highest concentration of parental care of any harvestman family, and possibly of any arachnid. Across the group, maternal egg guarding appears to be the ancestral condition and is widespread. But the family also contains numerous independent origins of paternal care, in which males guard clutches of eggs either exclusively or jointly with females, a behavior exceptionally rare amongst arachnids. Various gonyleptids show paternal and biparental guarding, and in some cases, the male's role is known to substantially improve offspring survival. The coexistence of maternal, paternal, and biparental care within a single family, sometimes within a single genus, make these organisms a rare example of the evolution of parental care in invertebrates. Across their range, gonyleptids fill the role of generalist predator and scavenger, like many other opiliones. The majority of species are nocturnal. Prey includes soft-bodied invertebrates as well as various dead things and occasionally plant material, mushrooms, and ripe fruit. The second pair of legs in these organisms is extremely elongated in many species and covered with chemoreceptors. They function similar to the antennae in insects and are the primary sensory organs for foraging, sweeping through the environment ahead of the arthropod to detect prey, obstacles, and mates. Our tree-dwelling giant, Serracutisoma proximum, belongs to the subfamily Goniosomatinae, which are some of the most heavily studied harvestmen in the world. Almost every well-studied member of this group is intimately associated with humid streamside habitats within the forest interior. This characteristic habitat is called a riparian corridor, the zone of dense low vegetation that is on either side of a forest stream. This association is driven largely by the reproductive biology of the group. Females lay eggs on the underside of leaves overhanging running water, a behavior that likely reduces the risk of drying out. Outside of the breeding season, many species retreat to caves and rocky overhangs, where they form aggregations ranging from a handful of individuals to several hundred, primarily females. Alternating between caves and treetops near streams gives Goniosomatines a seasonal ecology more structured than that of most other Harvestmen groups. Now onto Serracutisoma proximum specifically. Serracutisoma proximum has a small central body, like most opiliones, around half an inch with enormous legs, stretching between 7 and 8 inches. Males are generally larger than females, but one of the first things a casual observer notices about Serracutisoma is that the males in any given population do not look alike. In most species, sexual dimorphism is expected. Males and females look different one way or another, but in Serracutisoma proxima, there is dimorphism within the sexes. Two clearly distinct types of males exist side by side, and distinguishing them requires only a glance at a single body part, that second pair of legs. In Harvestmen, the second pair of legs is not really used for walking. Instead, it functions as a sensory organ, and in some, as a weapon. In Serracutisoma proximum, the second legs of the larger male type, called majors, are dramatically elongated, easily exceeding the body length and equipped with rows of spines along the tibia. The smaller males, which are called minors, has a second leg which are proportionally much shorter, and their overall appearance is closer to that of females than to major males. The difference is not a matter of age. Both majors and minors are fully adult. It is instead a genuine dimorphism. Two alternative body forms within a single sex of a single species, both present in every population studied across the entire species range. A male's body form is determined by its size at a critical threshold during development. Males that grow beyond a certain body size cross that developmental switch point and grow into the major morph. Those that fall below it develop into minors. But what is the point of the two male types? Every year, as the warm, wet season begins, Serracutisoma proximum undergoes a behavioral transformation. The Harvestmen, which have spent the cold, dry months sheltering in caves and these large aggregations, disperse back into the streamside trees and vegetation to breed. For major males, the breeding season is organized almost entirely around their territory. A territory in this context is just a patch of streamside vegetation containing one or more oviposition sites, or egg-laying sites. A male that owns a good territory will in time find himself with a harem, a cluster of females guarding their egg clutches within his territory. Establishing and defending a territory requires fighting, and the fights of the major males are the most carefully documented example of ritualized combat in the opiliones. When two major males encounter each other at a territory boundary, they enter a highly formalized contest. Both individuals extend their second legs laterally, holding them outward and downward like a pair of lances. Their first legs are brought in against their bodies. The two rivals then face each other directly and begin striking, each using his second legs to hit those of his opponent. The blows are not random. The animals hit each other's second legs in a rhythmic exchange, testing the force and resilience their opponents can bring to bear. In escalated contests, one male may successfully grasp the other's second legs, and in extreme cases may use his chelicerae to chew off the captured limb, potentially amputating his opponent. As the breeding season progresses, females begin arriving at the territories to lay eggs. A female that has mated approaches the oviposition vegetation, selects an appropriate leaf, and deposits a clutch of eggs on the underside. She then settles into position on or near the eggs and begins what will be weeks of constant guarding. As more females choose to lay within a given male's territory, his harem expands. The majority of territories in any population contain just one major male. But what about the smaller, minor males? While the major males fight for territories, minor males pursue a stealthier reproductive strategy. A minor male does not stake out a territory, he doesn't fight, and he doesn't defend oviposition sites. Instead, he moves quietly through the forest, slipping into territories of major males and attempting to mate with the females he finds guarding clutches there. This approach is called the sneaker tactic. The sneaker tactic only works if the minor males can avoid detection. This requirement has led to one of the most extraordinary recent discoveries about the species: evidence that the minor males achieve concealment by chemically resembling females, or female mimicry. Major males have extremely reduced aggression towards minors, and in some cases actually attempt to mate with them, treating minors as if they were females. This evidence alone strongly suggests that majors were misidentifying minors. It's important to note here that harvestmen have notoriously terrible vision. Just two simple eyes that can't really resolve images and are primarily used for light detection. So harvestmen have to be chemically oriented. Their sensory second legs, covered with chemoreceptors, allow them to read the chemical identity of the objects they contact. For minor males, smelling like a female may be the single most important reproductive adaptation they have. The ability of minor males to enter territories and mate with egg-guarding females creates a situation in which multiple males have likely mated with the same female. This sets up a competition not between the males, but between their sperm. Whoever sperm fertilizes the eggs wins, regardless of whether they have territory or not. The intensity of sperm competition in a population is generally thought to drive investment in testes size. However, the size of the gonads between the majors and minors does not differ, and is not associated with general body size or second leg length. Both morphs invest equally in their testes, which has been interpreted as evidence that both face a similarly high risk of sperm competition. Sneakers regularly access females in territories, meaning major males cannot be confident of exclusive paternity. While the complex maneuvering of major and minor males gets attention, the life of the female is defined by guarding her eggs. After laying her clutch on the underside of a leaf, a female takes up position near or on top of the eggs and remains there, alert and defensive, until the eggs hatch and the young nymphs disperse. The cost is substantial. A female sitting on her eggs is not merely warning off predators, she is actively defending the eggs, and her presence is the primary factor determining whether or not they survive at all. Guarding ties the female to one spot for over a month, reducing the time and energy she can invest in things like food or producing more eggs. When a female is on guard duty, she becomes aggressive towards all perceived threats, actively attacking egg predators that approach her brood. Her second legs are used to probe the environment continuously, and she responds to any disturbances with threatening postures and attacks. One of the most intriguing behavioral puzzles involves what happens when a female abandons or dies on her eggs. Territory-holding major males have been observed moving to stand on unattended egg clutches, positioning themselves where the female had been sitting. At first glance, this appears to be a remarkable case of paternal guarding, a male stepping in to protect eggs when the mother is unavailable. However, the males of the species are bad protectors. Males spend far less time on eggs than females normally do, and when presented with egg predators, males almost never attack. So why do the males guard the eggs at all? Possibly to trick new females. A new female that arrives in the territory and finds the territory's male positioned on eggs may interpret this as a good oviposition site and trade mating with the male for a chance to lay her own eggs nearby.